Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to a transfer show special for Anfield Index. It is Wednesday, the 12th of November. It's under 2 months until the January transfer window opens. Will Liverpool sign anyone? Because crazily enough, having spent 450 million-ish in the summer, despite recouping a healthy amount, there's still real questions, isn't there, about what's needed and maybe what's lacking with this squad as ever. I'm your host, Dave Davis, coming to you from, it's clear skies and there's a bit of sun in Edinburgh, but it isn't the warmest. So fingers crossed, wherever you are in the world, it is quite nice. Quite a bit of different, players, things that we can analyse here with the transfer window coming up. But probably the place to start is with the head coach. Now, you're going to see this different. You'll be entrenched probably in your opinion, no matter what I say or what I discussed here. Arne Slot and his future. It's not been a good season for Liverpool. It's not been a good season for the Dutchman, hasn't it? And especially on Sunday, where he admitted quite honestly, he was outgunned by Pep Guardiola, wasn't he? In a 3-0 drubbing it, it's fair to say. We didn't get anything. We didn't deserve anything from this game. But importantly, there has been messages coming out from different sources. So Robertson Romano was saying on his pod the other day, the situation remains absolutely 100% under control and Liverpool have no intention to change anything. Liverpool maintain their confidence in the manager. There is no contact with any other agent or representative of a different manager. Liverpool keep backing the manager Arne Slot. Liverpool keep supporting the coach. Liverpool keep believing Arne Slot is the right man for the job. Pretty unequivocal there, really, isn't it? There's not many wiggle room in that, you could say. And to be honest, you wouldn't expect anything different in the public message that's coming out from the club, or if there is any media briefings to sources, etc. It's what you'd expect right now. Of course, Liverpool, having won the league title in the summer, made that huge commitment to changing the squad, reinforcing it, however you wish to describe it, are going to back Arne Slot all the way. And just to add a little caveat on to the end of that, they're going to back Arne Slot all the way for now. Discussed it on various pods. We've had Journo say the same. We've had different bits come out. But the key part is, as long as Liverpool are in that race or thereabouts for the Champions League, Arne Slot will be secure in that job. Now, I see people go, is it 8th in the league, wherever we are now? But we're only a couple of points off those Champions League places. And naturally, there's a favourable run coming up, isn't there, for all the way through till Christmas and even on the 1st of January with Leeds at home. So there's a run of fixtures coming up where Liverpool should be putting points on the board. No doubt about it at all. Interestingly, tweet from the GOAT the other day, say literally yesterday, actually. As Indy Callier tweeted, we are not naive. Our Liverpool sources are from the club. Sometimes tell us what they want out in the media. They say Arne Slot is safe. Our opinion is, if the poor form continues into January, Arne Slot's job will be under serious threat. Probably agree with that, to be honest. If the run keeps up, I mean, we've all seen the stats recently, haven't we? 40% of the games we've lost since that PSG exit, the away record in 2025, where we've lost half of our games away from home. If that carries on, especially with this run of form, I think there's major questions to be asked there. Funnily enough, AWSC 5675 saying, don't believe we will get a new player in January, except maybe Gay, who would cost half of that 35 million less. We have spent more than 400 million and any players would need to be offloaded the other way as well. Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? And we'll get into all that. I mean, to start, because people keep seeing this mention of Gay, is that possible in January? All you can go off is David Ornstein, Fabrizio Romano, and Paul Joyce, who've all got articles or have put articles out there at similar times saying Liverpool will not move for Mark Guéhi in January, they'll be looking at the summer window when, of course, he'll be a free transfer. That's what all three have written. You see, you can't avoid that. There's no journalist or no source yet who said Liverpool may look to sort of trigger that, make a move in January, a reduced deal. And also at the same time, Crystal Palace have got their aim. So it's just really hard to see anything with Mark Gay in January. And yet, of course, there's always the situation could change. That's always the caveat for January, isn't it? But just to answer that, because a few have mentioned that in the chat panel. In terms of the summer, though, this seems to be a talking point. Liverpool's recruitment and, the gods that are involved in that for many, like Edwards, Hughes and others, have been taking a bit of a battering, haven't they? And mainly from ex-players, if you've listened, that Jamie Carragher there talked on the overlap about they've been left behind and they got it wrong in the summer with the type of players that they profiled and signed. Robbie Fowler also talking about it as well, didn't he, for a pod with a couple of ex-United players. I can't remember what it's called, not that I really care, but saying that they may have got that summer recruitment wrong. 450 million-ish spent. Imagine if they have got it wrong. Imagine if, as Jamie Carragher said, Liverpool have been left behind. Could be January to fix it, couldn't it, at the same time? But naturally, as we do on Anfield Index, let's get into the stuff because, as ever, we've spoken to journalists, analysts, as many people as we can, just trying to find out, anything going on. And it's important to say, and it almost sounds like a political statement, but there is an element of truth to it because everyone keeps saying it. January is a nightmare market. Clubs will know other clubs might be desperate or in need of players. And so there's a premium on it to start with. It's also, as people keep saying, World Cup year at the same time, which makes it difficult because players are not going to want to move mid-season, ideally, to disrupt those World Cup chances unless they're out of side and needing to play to get into a World Cup team. So all those do make it difficult. But as you're going to counter at the same time, Liverpool have done some unbelievable business when you look historically in January, haven't you? A Sturridge, a Coutinho, Mascherano, you can go back. There's been some unbelievable buys in January. So that does come into the consideration as well. But start with what we've been digging around in. And it really is mixed contract news on this one. Now, this was cleverly placed the other day, and I think you can probably guess, we got this info, who's put this. According to the Spanish newspaper AS, Man City and Real Madrid want to sign Dominic Szoboszlai in the summer. And also, as we've seen in the last week or so, as Fabrizio Romano told us, talks are advancing and progressing between Liverpool and Dominic Szoboszlai over a new contract. There is no agreement yet. Now, let's just think a second. If Dominic Szoboszlai and his team were wanting to get a new contract, which, seems very possible. Liverpool are wanting to, extend that because of the time he'll have left to go. And fair play to Dominic Szoboszlai. He's been world class this season, hasn't he? Easily our best player of the year so far. If Liverpool are offering, call it a low ball amount or amount below naturally what they're looking for, as negotiations always are, what could maybe help a little bit, just nudge it on, and for the record, I believe wholeheartedly that if he were to be available, he isn't. The likes of your Cities, Reals would be interested in Dominic Szoboszlai, but let's just call it a strategically placed article and bits that way at the same time as well. So yeah, all the info is Liverpool are trying to do a deal with Dominic Szoboszlai. Important to say though, it won't come cheap. And the reason it's not going to come cheap is Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk, they've renewed on astronomical money, haven't they? So that's been a marker in the sand. And also Cody Gakpo did a renewal at the same time. And from digging around, suggestions that Cody's renewal was in excess of 225 grand a week. So, I don't know if you say that's a starting point for Szoboszlai, but different players, different areas. But in terms of importance to the squad right now, Szoboszlai streaks ahead of Gakpo, isn't he? So that will come into the decision-making as well. And then speaking of strategically placed stories. It was funny how strategically there were stories about interest in Ryan Gravenberch from the two Spanish clubs as well. You probably caught that at the same time. As at the same time, Fabrizio Romano put out Liverpool working on new deals for Ryan Gravenberch as well. It's in the early stages with some conversations. And Gravenberch admitted, didn't he, at that Champions League press conference that no official talks had started, but, happy here. And of course, it's the way things work, isn't it, people? Liverpool are clearly trying to do new deals for Szoboszlai and Gravenberch. All of a sudden, stories appear that other clubs may be interested. You can join the dots on these, can't you? Quite easily. Maybe the other contracts that are a bit more prevalent, and I think there is mixed news, and it depends how you take this a little bit. It's important to say with Ibu, speaking to the patch journalists as we do, the various bits, there's nothing really coming out from the UK side or the patch journal side. It's very much that sort of message that, well, there's nothing happening, or when something does happen, shall we say, then there'll be news and stories. But this keeps bubbling up from France, doesn't it? And as it says on the screen there, Liverpool have presented a new contract offer to Ibu. No agreement has been reached yet, but Liverpool are confident. It's a weird one, isn't it? Because I still feel there's an air of inevitability of what's going to happen with Ibu. And, Real Madrid, PSG have been mentioned, but then the water's got muddied a little bit maybe in recent weeks with talk of Real prefer Upamecano and other players that, Konaté's moved down the pecking order. Bayern Munich were linked with him at the same time as well. PSG is still said to be in the mix. The thing is with this, again, nothing concrete. You can talk to people, but no one's definitively got, there's 100% a contract offer on the table for Ibu Konaté. On the UK side, it's pretty quiet, mouse fart quiet type of thing. This is going to sound harsh, but in his current form right now, and I don't think it's all his fault, the tactics, the way we're playing, I don't think I want Ibu to stay. Just to be crystal clear, of course, I want Ibu to stay. I think, it'll give us more options. And on his day, he can be brilliant, can't he? But we've not seen many of those days this season, whether he's been helped or not. We've seen a lot of bad decisions from Ibu as well. If Ibu is to go, and that's a strong possibility right now, I'm not sure it's quite the loss it would have been seen as at the start of the season. Yeah, 100% I want him to stay. But again, in that, for the right money, Ibu is not a player for me we should be breaking a wage structure for. He isn't in the, a Van Dijk, Salah, Szoboszlai, and, different discussions there. But yeah, it's just a bit difficult to see too much with Ibu right now. Again, it also needs to be coming for the French side. That's important to say. Chasing it on the UK side, no one really seems to have anything. In terms of players that could leave as well, Andy Robertson showed his class here in this one. You may have seen it as he talked about on international duty because of his contract. Everyone was bored of talking about Mo, Virgin, Trent, but my relationship with the club is wonderful. They've done everything for me and my family. I've not been too bad for them for 8 million and what I've done. Whatever happens will happen, and I'm relaxed about the situation. If it is my last year, it's my last year. If it's not, then so be it. I think more telling anything, there's been no talks between the club and Robbo, and no one expects there to really be any talks between Robbo and the club. I understand people will say, Kirkes, he's relegated him to the bench and different bits, but Robbo is now 31. There's a lot of miles on the clock. We've seen that steady decline in recent years. So that's going to come into the mix. And by the way, this isn't to denigrate a player at all who's been world class in his palm, an absolute bargain and a half at 8 million or so from Hull. A great player, great leader, great character. That's why he's been chosen to be the vice captain as well. But 99.99% certain Robbo departs at the end of the season. In brass tacks as well, Liverpool want him to eventually be the second choice left back. and you're not going to be paying the money that Robbo, understandably with his pedigree, is after for that. And I will say on this, Robbo's done him a big favour here with that sort of statement that he's put out, or the answer he gave, because he's kind of given the club a good, they've got good value from me, I've got good value from them. I'm relaxed about the situation. He's not done a whole I'm surprised I haven't been offered. In my, he's played a blinder there, and he's shown a bit of class, I would say, for the club, Robbo, like you'd expect him to. But that's one player who you are pretty certain is leaving at the end of the season. In terms of a player that could be coming back to the club, and me and Trev mentioned this on the transfer show about 4 weeks ago, that, people jumped on it recently. Of course, there's massive concerns over Harvey Elliott's loan to Aston Villa. Of course, now there's a real expectation that, as we said, he was in that David Ornstein article, it's 10 appearances, isn't it, to trigger the obligation. Villa are leaving him out the squad, or Unai Emery's not putting him in the squad repeatedly. And again, all the indications are, and you speak to people, journalists, a different bit, that Villa and Liverpool are talking about that. And in fact, one journalist even said it's just when he comes back rather than if. You never know in football, but he's been repeatedly left out an Aston Villa squad. I think we all know what's going to happen there, don't we? I think most are expecting a situation where comes back and then a German club or another option for him, because he's not going to be on Arne Slot's thinking, despite I've seen a few tweeting about it. We're almost waiting now for Harvey to return back to Anfield at some point, aren't we? So yeah, real mixed news around the contracts.